What's up, guys? Welcome back to My Wife Still Likes Me. My name's Jeff. That's Mike. We're going to try not to mess this up today, and I'm going to talk about myself for a while.
Something you're good at.
Oh, good grief, yeah. Hey, how you doing?
Oh, it's going to be fun.
I don't even know if it sounds good or not. I should probably listen to it. I think I should.
You remember that show? Are we recording?
Yeah. I don't know where to put stuff like this. Like, this is great stuff. Today's episode is Who Are We? Like not the show, but you and I. And a little bit more about why we do this. And I put a bunch of notes for me, so you're going to have to answer your own questions. But we'll start off with tell me about you, or tell us about you. Tell them about you. I know a little bit.
Oh, you want me to start? Oh, okay.
You want me to go first?
No, I'll go. I don't mind.
All right.
I'm Mike, obviously. So, for me, my wife and I have been married 28 years now. We have children. We have grandchildren now.
I do not.
Well, I have two and a, how do we do that? 2 1/4, 2.5
I
grandchildren?
say 2 1/3.
2 1/3, okay, because my daughter's pregnant again.
When I go to the restaurants, I say 2 3/3. And nobody knows what I'm talking about.
Oh, okay. But, yeah, I mean, we've been together for a while. I think one of the funniest stories was that one of the stories my wife loves to tell is how we basically started dating. We both knew each other through her former boyfriend. He was a friend of mine.
Awkward.
Yeah. But, you know, and things happen. I was dating somebody. She was dating him. And we used to go out.
Sure.
And that's where we met each other. It was amazing that we literally lived a block and a half apart and never met until late in high school.
Wow.
You know, and it's just amazing that we can sit there and think back of, you know, how many times I know I've gone by her house, she's gone by my house, and we just never met. But to skip along, we sat there and the relationship I had ended, the relationship she had ended, and I was working at a grocery store. You know, I was younger, I was working at a grocery store. I was in the evening, and she happened to walk in, and the way she puts it is I followed her around like a lost puppy. I don't want to say that, but, you know, it was, we just started talking, and I was going through the store, and yeah, I probably stayed next to her longer than I should have. Not in a creeper way, by no means. But we sat there and we were walking through the store talking, and things just clicked. I mean, when something clicks, you know it.
Oh, yeah.
And that's where it was.
Seatbelt. You know
Seatbelt clicks, you got to, yep. And that's where we clicked, and it was like, hey, you know, let's start hanging out. We live right around the corner from each other. And at that point we did, you know, and I was going to technical school for electronics then, and everything, you know, she was talking to me, you know, I was talking to her, and it, you know, the nights got later and later, and I was like, hey, you know, I got to get up and go to school. And it just rolled into a relationship, and literally I would say within a year, we were engaged and we were getting married, you know, and it wasn't a whirlwind thing, but I mean, it was, like I said, when it clicks, and you know that. And I sat there, and, you know, we had our first child. We were pretty young. I got married at 19.
Yeah.
She was 20, I was 19. So she hates this, but she's my old lady. I'm
not allowed to say that.
I get to say that certain times of the year, right after she turns that year older than me. I have like 6 months, almost 5.5, 6 months to say she's my old lady. You know, but I mean, I kid with her about that. But we had our second child, you know, we've bounced around. We moved. I remember when we bought our first house, that was a while ago. We had jobs, you know. She started her career as a cosmetologist, and she's been doing that ever since. She has supported me in my jobs.
I feel like we should have a disclaimer. She did not do this to my head, but she is a very, very fantastic hairstylist.
And obviously, I mean, I'm in a career now where I get to work with electronics, things that I love. We have the company I work for, we do research and development for our company, and we get to do really cool stuff. I'm not going to go into detail what our products are or anything like that. But, I've got to destroy things, and it's a great product, and what I'm saying is, she's supported me through this. Yeah. And by her doing that, we've now been able, she's started her own business, she does her own thing with her hair and stuff like that, cosmetology. And she's incredible with it. My kids, they're adults now. And they're both in college still. Hope they would finish, but hey, whatever, that's life. They're still going to college. They're still doing their thing, and I do have grandchildren. It wasn't, I love my grandbabies. Absolutely love my grandbabies, but it wasn't something that was planned, and I'm not sorry for them at all. It is what it is. And we have to grow, and we have to, get past that.
Sure.
There's just things that are frustrating, is like, hey, I raised my kids, now it seems like, I might be helping raise more children. But, in my opinion, that has been a huge growing experience for me as well. The other thing, as I think about it, and I have, my career, I've begun, a path down being a pastor. That is a brand new ball game for me. Yeah. And I've been back and forth. I know I've talked to you about it. We had a really rough patch early on, in our marriage. And we did, I did some things that, I probably shouldn't have. And just to sit there and go, oh, okay, so on the side of the pastor, I had to get past all of my past. And to go on to try to overcome that and become a pastor had a lot to do with my wife, the encouragement that she gave me, and to speak out for marriage after having been married 28 years, that itself does not give me credibility, to counsel anybody or anything like that. But I have knowledge of both the good and the bad in a marriage.
Yeah.
So when I speak, I speak from my experiences.
Sure.
And if somebody can either avoid a pitfall that I fell in, just by me explaining, hey, this is what the road I went down, hey, this is what the caution signs looked like, the signs of, hey, you're going down the wrong road. If that's going to help another man avoid this, then absolutely, I want to get it out there, and I'm not proud of my past, but it was a growing and a learning experience. Sure. And that's why I think, as I've grown, and I can honestly sit here and look at this and go, yes, my wife still likes me, is an amazing thing to sit there and understand that there's a lot of give and take in a marriage. There has to be. And pretty much that's my story. I know as more episodes come, we'll get into different things, the experiences, but I just wanted to, throw that out there to everybody. This is Mike. I'm not perfect by no means. I have an amazing wife. That's, something that helps me along the way.
Yeah.
And you smirked. What was that for?
Oh, what was I going to say? I lost it.
But I mean,
you have a biased opinion, but your wife is awesome.
I have to have a biased opinion. I love you, dear. But I mean, that's me. I mean, I appreciate you throwing that out to me first. So follow up, man. This is your time. I know you love to speak about yourself. Go for it.
I do. I like to talk about myself a lot. He's not kidding. 14 years, married. You answered the question of the card. I forgot the card, but you answered the question. I assume is the story of how you met is that What is a story you never get tired of hearing your significant other say? I imagine you get tired of
absolutely.
hearing the puppy dog story.
The puppy dog part, I think that's more of a, something on me, but, I love it.
So, my wife and I dated before we got married, but like, I know that, duh, of course you dated before you got married. We dated, broke up, and got dated again, and then got married.
Oh, okay.
And so the time in the middle we call the time we don't speak of. And my recollection of this story I don't share anymore because apparently it's clearly wrong, which is not entirely impossible because I don't remember a lot of things. But I like hearing my wife tell me the story of how we got back together in the process of she knew the first time we dated and just didn't bother to tell me. I'm being totally like snarky here. My wife is awesome. But several years later, that's 2 or 3 years later, we ended up talking again and getting back together, dating long distance forever, and then getting married 14 years ago. And it was awesome. We met the first time at church back when Glendale used to meet at Ironwood. That's a long time ago. It's like 20 years ago this year-ish.
Yeah.
Something like that. 20 years ago in high school. We went to rival high schools, and then we met at church, and I thought she was cute. That's the family-friendly version of what I thought. And she thought I was a cocky pain in the butt.
Again, family-friendly version.
Yeah, well, no, she'd probably say it that way too. When our wives are on the show, we do not have to worry about them being family friendly. They're generally family friendly.
Absolutely.
Anyway, and we dated in high school, and then I joined the Navy and said I don't do long distance relationships. Good luck, and left. And then and I'm going to get this wrong. We'll bring her on the show, and she can tell you the story the right way. Somebody called me for her and handed her the phone, and she didn't know who it was, and ended up talking to me for like hours. And then she made me wait. So I was in New York, and she was here in Arizona, and she made me wait until actually Valentine's Day in Arizona. So I had to stay up till like 3 a.m. in New York to ask her out on Valentine's Day. Yeah, I tried before. She wouldn't let me. She's like, nope, you gotta wait. Things we do for our wives. Anyway, that started a very long, like, communication-based relationship because we were 2,400 miles apart. And once or twice a year, one would come to the other end of the country to say hi and catch up and stuff. But it was like texts and deployments, and we used to write letters and like snail mail them home. And sometimes I'd get home before the letters would, which would be weird. That's if you want to join the Navy, make sure remember the mail doesn't get there on time. Anyway, so that's how we got together. It's 14 years, and every year on our anniversary, I list down all of the things that we've done, and it's like 14 years. The numbers are wrong, but 3 kids, 7 moves, 15 cars, so many dogs, and blah blah blah, and we're still here. Here's to 14 more. Because we have in our room, we have a vinyl. I guess it's a word like stuck to the wall. It says "always and forever." That's like our tagline.
Okay.
And then like that's it. Like there's no end. Like that's it. But that's like, so it's over our bathroom door. So every morning when I get up, I see that. And that's like a reminder, like, this is a good thing. And sometimes I need to work, all the time I need to work at it, but sometimes I actually do. Anyway, she's, like you said, she's one of my biggest encouragers. I'm an ordained elder in the Church of the Nazarene. Google it and send us a message and I'll explain it to you, because this is not the place and we could spend 5 more episodes trying to just even think about what we're talking about. Anyway, I'm a pastor in a local church up the street from my house. I've been doing that for a while too.
Yeah.
Some form of ministry. I think I did the math. This is my 19th year of some form of ministry, but 8 years in pursuing vocational ministry, so we'd call it.
Amazing.
That's my habit, if you will. Who is it? I saw Dr. Bain. I don't think you've met Dr. Bain. Dr. Bain is a guy that works for the Nazarene Church in church planting. But he said our normal jobs support the habit. So that's my habit. I tell people I'm a stay-at-home dad and an Uber driver. So I'm a stay-at-home dad. I homeschool my kids till about 2 o'clock. And on the weekends, I drive Uber to support both of those habits.
Absolutely. That school teaching, though, is a full-time job.
I do not envy any teacher ever after the last, 8 months of trying to get through
I bet.
homeschooling. Homeschooling was not, it was by choice, but because of all the other choices. Anyway, so at the moment, I homeschool our kids and Uber drive. I've had a bunch of different jobs, a lot of tech jobs, like from AV, like doing microphones and cameras and lighting and stuff like that. I could keep talking about myself. I'm a gearhead. I don't have any cars at the moment that prove I'm a gearhead. I have a truck, but I like cars. I like building motors and taking things apart and putting them back together. My son also likes to take things apart, but not always put them back together.
Well, it
Anyway.
starts that way.
Yes, it does start that way.
So if I could hit on something real quick, I mean, just the beginning of your story proves that long-distance relationships can and will work.
Oh yeah, I don't do long distance relationships. Take a hike and then end up being in one for 3 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's rough. Like we're gonna talk about. Is it next week? Next week we're gonna talk about communication, and that was like, if there wasn't communication, there wouldn't be an us. Like,
Right.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And it's We'll save that for next week. Communication next week. So some of the rest of our thought was, why are we doing this? Like, why do we want to do this? And we talked about it a little bit last week. For me, doing this has been along the same lines. Like, we have knowledge and things that I don't mean this in a bad way, not to knock it. I thought everybody knew, like, this is how marriage is supposed to be. I think our marriage is great. Yes, we all have the roller coasters, but like we talked about last week, it's 100 and 100 because you can't always give 100, but your spouse could.
Right.
But I thought that was everybody. Clearly, it's not, and I have been educated in this from friends. Like, how do you make it work? I'm like, what do you mean? How do you make it work? It works. Like, you just do it. Apparently, it's not that simple. So my hope for this and what we do here is that I have knowledge and I have experience. Not 28 years. That's amazing. But for me, it was we'll say 15 years of dating and all of that stuff. It's been longer than that, but 15 years of Bible studies and couples devotionals and counseling, like pre-marriage counseling and stuff, like going through all of these things. It's all been like surface level, but there's nothing like deep, like what's specific. Like, let's talk about a specific thing. Not that we're going to have the answers for it, because I probably won't, but hopefully we can find resources or provide ideas and things like, hey, this is what I think about it. And by now you've seen our disclaimer, or you'll see it at the end of the video. We are not professionals by any stretch of the imagination, but we can talk about details and get resources and provide things that other people can find to go get help or ideas that they need. But for me, everything was surface level. And I'd see that in the marriage classes. Like, I've taught marriage classes in churches and with friends. Like, let's walk through this. Well, the couples devotional you can get on Amazon is not going to teach you how to fight fairly or how to talk or how to get through a detailed, nasty part of a relationship. Right. It's how do you keep the fluffy clouds and all of the other stuff happy? Well, if we knew that, we wouldn't have bought the book.
Right. The clouds usually come with storms, though.
Yeah. And I'm not talking like, bedroom details, but like, I wrote down, how does one fight fair or resolve a parenting issue together? Like, how do you get through that stuff? We joked when we were going through show prep, it's hard to fight about money when you don't have any.
Right.
But how do you do that? So when I was thinking, like, why did I want to come together and do, like, when I look at that, yes, my wife still likes me. But I wanted a place that we can come and talk about concerns and not beat up or tear down our spouses, but we can mutually come to the table and figure stuff out. Now, biasly, from a man's perspective, because again, I'm not equipped to answer from the other side of the table. But that's where I came up with, like, why do I want to do this? Because I'm tired of the surface level. Like, let's stop staying here. Like, let's get into it. Like, what does it mean? Yeah, totally not looking at the clock over here. Oh,
let's get some roots, man. I mean, if we can get some roots, and weather the storms, absolutely. Mm-hmm. And I can remember when you were going over and we were trying to decide, what the name's going to be, and then you came up and you had, this is perfect. My wife still likes me, and then I don't know if you all can see this, but there's all these little cracks and whatnot, and we were talking about it, and that's where marriage is, get shaken. There's cracks in foundations, and you got to be able to repair things. You know, it doesn't always look pretty.
No.
But, you know, if you can repair it, and it's kind of like, you know, a scar. You know, a scar is something that you can sit there and look at and go, yeah. You know, and obviously I can't show the ones I have because they're under my shirt and I don't want to lift it up. But
Family friendly.
Family friendly. You know, it's they're stories, you know, and these stories, these cracks in your marriage, in my marriage, are stories that we can share. That could maybe help strengthen the foundation of another marriage. And,
Sure.
and if we can do that, absolutely, let's do that. You know, why allow somebody to struggle the way I did if I can provide information to help, you know,
Yeah,
help them learn before they do it.
absolutely.
You know, my opinion again, but I mean, that's where our hearts are. I believe, I know that's where my heart is. I think I
Yeah,
speak for you when I
absolutely.
say that. So, you know, if there's anything, you know, and if there's people that are listening and we go through and we talk about it and you feel like you want to post something, you know, again, you know, I think Jeff said that last week, this isn't a place to come in and bash your spouse, your wife, your husband. You know, we're here to just, you know, maybe help somebody walk through something, maybe help somebody get through something. And if you want to make a comment or you have a question, we can absolutely, you know,
Attempt to answer it. but-
attempt to answer it, you
and
know,
or find a
direct,
direction for
yeah.
somebody else that you can ask the question to and get. I forget which camera to look at. Resources.
resources. Absolutely.
A place to like. I can share with you my opinion, but again, I'm
Yeah,
not a
that's
counselor.
what it is.
I'm
It's
not
an
a
opinion.
what's the word?
A professional.
Yeah, a professional. I'm not a mental health professional or emotional marriage help. I don't whatever.
Right.
I don't always know what I'm talking about, but I can help you find the right direction to go.
Absolutely. You know, and that's where we're at. I mean, that's, and I love the fact that, you know, this is happening now.
Yeah.
It really is. And I believe there's going to be a lot of people that are blessed from this, and it's going to be an amazing
hope
ride
so.
as we go through this.
Because it's weird to sit here and just. I still feel weird sitting here talking about this, but I know that I feel like it's passion. Like I call this my passion project. Like this
Yeah.
is something I've been talking about this for years. And we are way over time, at least according to that. It's something I've been talking about for years. It started out as a book idea because I've read a bunch of books on marriage, and they're all surface level. Like there's some really good practical things. The guy from Family Life Radio. You know who I'm talking about. Kevin, but the other guy. Oh, what's his name? Kevin Lehman is awesome. Read anything by Kevin Lehman.
Is it Dr. Randy?
Yeah, Randy Carlson. Like they're like that's practical. Like physically do this, and life will be better eventually. I'm paraphrasing a lot, but it's still like for me, it's still surface. Like okay, I've done all that stuff. My marriage is good, but how do we get like what's the next level? I don't even know we're gonna get there, but we're gonna have fun trying at least anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway, with that, if Mike is all set, next week
good.
we're going to talk about communication. Hopefully, some communication. We're going to break it down a little bit. We're going to overall communication because that is number 2 of all of the people that I ever ask of, hey, what do you want us to talk about on the show? Communication. Like, how do we do X? And
Right.
we're going to start with communication. But like, subscribe, shameless plug, go click on stuff, tell your friends. We're brand new. We're trying to get started. If there's something you want to talk about, you have a question, a comment, a topic, shoot us a message, leave a comment, and we will do our best to answer them or put them in our list of ideas. The list is getting shorter, so send us stuff. With that, we will check you out next week. See ya.